we saved cost here instead of, basically spending 10% less. So we saved $7,000. Our cost per, lead, whatever you call it, went down, but our sales went up from 168 to 200. Our customers went from 169 to 200, and our NCAC dropped 11.4%. So 18% more new customers for 10% less cost, while also drop CAC 11.5%. I'd like to share with you all the new meta strategy. Let me get it all pulled up. All right. So I'm going to pull up Wicked 2. All right. And all right. That's loading there. I'm going to get the funnel vision pulled up. Click date. Good. And then it's loading. Please hold. We started a new way of scaling. It's actually pretty cool. So I think I shared with you how we started an ABO instead of our L1 for creative testing. This last week, we decided to pull $22,000 out of our L1 and put it in to our ABO. And the way that we've added this by 118% is we found that you can scale ABO very effectively by cloning the campaigns, cloning the ad sets on ABO. So we found out that, if you look at, Barbara, these two are the new Barbaras. We made a Barbara, and in-app it was getting 125, and it was getting good first click in Wicked. So we cloned it again. Barbara's getting 155. We're like, excellent. So we're cloning it again, getting 141. We're like, excellent. And then these two last clonings that happened on, it was like the 12th. These are actually starting to kind of hit points of diminishing returns, but still look decent from a new customer perspective. So what's interesting about this is we said, okay, we clone Barbara like each time and they hit goal. Now, since it's on ABO, it still spends $225 a day. So each time we clone Barbara at $225 per day, we basically add $6,700 per month to the campaign. So we just clone her a bunch. So we said, okay, well, let's try this again. We did Joan. We had Joan, and Joan. And in-app, it's like, okay, 321, that sucks. 384, that sucks. And 390, didn't get anything. That sucks. Okay. So we did one, it did okay. And the same thing happened when we cloned it. So it's almost like if the ad is performing well, we clone it, it still performs well. Or if it doesn't perform well, we clone it, it still doesn't perform well. So then we thought, okay, how do we do this at a mass scale? Like, how can we actually scale this thing up very quickly? So we decided on this new method of creative testing and scale, which is actually taking one new ad, let's call them Pam, clone them 5 times at $100 per day each. So now I get $500 a day worth of creative testing on Pam. And then we get to see the results after about a week. And so what's nice about this is we look at this and say, okay, Pam, basically $500, nothing here. Okay, so that's a fail. Now let's try Suzanne. Suzanne cloned 5 times. 2 of the 5 are working so far at under $100 CPA. Excellent. Keep going on this one. Let's wait a little bit longer. And then you get down to Lori. Lori has from here to here. So you got these 5, 2 of the 5. Good. It's doing just as good as Suzanne, but it's also beating Pam. And then we look at the next one of Claudia. And Claudia has also 5 ads. Nothing. Okay. That really sucks too. The last one, Diane. So we just kill these off here. Diane actually has, out of 5 ads, she has 3 ads that are performing, 1 that already got 2 purchases at a $50 cost per new customer. Okay, excellent. So what's funny is as soon as we have 1 ad, rather than adding 1 and kind of hoping it gets it or try to scale it up, we made 5 different versions of the same ad, which means they all should perform somewhat similarly to each other, or we'll take the average of each 5 compared to the average of the other 5. And if the other 5 are not performing, these, Claudia, for example, get paused. So these 5 get paused. The $500 per day then goes into cloning Diane 5 more times. Diane's going to go from 5 to 10. So we take the loser of the 5 and the winner of the 5. We take the loser's ad spend and give it to the winner by cloning it. And then we add more ads. And that's how we get incremental spend. The funny thing about this is since we've been doing this, we've been pulling out 50% of our costs inside of our L1. And the 50% cost is actually obviously giving us an economy of scale NCAC down. Our L0, where we kind of figure this out, is scaling up at 34%, and that NCAC is going down. But what's interesting is our new one here that we just started that has $2,400, the new version where it's like cloning them 5 times, is going up. And this one is starting off at an NCAC of 273. It's better than our remarketing. And this one, if it doesn't continue to rise, like this is going to be basically the one that we just continually clone more. So it's actually really interesting to see how this one here, that when we just take these 5 and we clone them, we're going to have massive amount of $500 per day testing on 5 ads that are also much colder than our L1. And we're just going to be shutting this one off. Basically, this one's just going to get erased. And we're going to be using just this new one here for the foreseeable future. That's where we're going to be starting to push hard and scale. But we can see since we've been doing this, we spent 10% less because we saved cost here instead of, basically spending 10% less. So we saved $7,000. Our cost per, lead, whatever you call it, went down, but our sales went up from 168 to 200. Our customers went from 169 to 200, and our NCAC dropped 11.4%. So 18% more new customers for 10% less cost, while also dropping NCAC 11.5%. We had the Diane, when it started to work, we threw it into L1, got twice the in-app and twice the wicked CPA and NCAC, like it failed. We tried to scale Diane in L0, which is our creative testing, got worse. When we cloned Diane, because this one we're like, what if we just go old school on this thing? When we cloned Diane, it worked. We cloned Diane 3 more times after cloning it twice, and it kept working. So I said, well, rather than doing clones of starting with one and seeing if we can clone it, see if we can clone it, see if we can clone it, we want to scale. So if we, instead of taking 1 250 and then try to clone that, what if we took 5 100s? So now we're spending twice as much, but it works towards Meta's economy of scale in reverse, so that if I have these right here, these 5 Dianes, if I get one sale, I'm already 1/3 of my other campaign's NCAC. So because it's really easy to spend $100 for 3 days and get nothing, I buy myself my week-long time frame that I want. If I was putting this at $1,000 a day and giving it 1 day, it's like, oh, well, it didn't work. Like, well, did you give it enough time? I don't know. So I can have multiple instances and then take the average of those multiple instances against each other. But if I pop 1 sale, let alone if I pop 2 sales, like now I'm 6 times better than my average. So the economies of scales of like, it's a lot easier to get sales at low spend. It's a lot easier to get cheap sales at low spend. What if I just kept doing that sideways, like you said, the old school strategy? And now I have 5 pieces of cold traffic data points for 7 days each. And I can compare that against 4 other ones. And we're just going to keep cloning it until it breaks. I'm not saying it's perfect, but so far we're having record Amazon days. And since this has gone for spend to cold traffic so much, this here is something, because since we've been doing this for about a month now, we had this is something else that was fantastic. So regardless of the record days, which is like 20% higher than what we've ever seen, our continuity, there we go. Our continuity since starting is just like, so we gained 96% more subscribers. This looks like a flat line here. We just had a whole bunch of people that ended up canceling, but it was still going to, like, on this day here, we had +11, +11, +15, +14, +15. Like, it's not flatlining here. We just had the cancellations dragging down, but this thing is on a really nice rise. And this is all of our monthly subscribers. So, like, all right, keep going, because that's worth way more than in-app CPA. Yeah. So nice with it. What we wanted to do is, if we cloned it 5 times, we didn't want like AI basically changing it into 5 different versions of it and then be like, oh, now it doesn't matter. So we had basically just said, what if it was a perfect duplication and we're just scaling sideways? Yeah. So our sales that we have to measure is when we make ad changes here, how did our Amazon, Shopify, and subscriber, how did they move? And as we threw in another 20 grand this month, did that continually get better? And so far it has. The L0s, this one that you're seeing here, this is our creative testing. This actually has now been migrated over to our main campaign as of the 1st. And this L0 campaign essentially is a CBO open target, customers excluded, no bid or cost cap, maximize